Hello everyone, welcome back to the third part of the course Mastering Flutter Firebase Riverpod by building full stack Instagram clone. So in last two videos we have built the our sign up UI, and in this video we are going to sign up our user with backend. So before that we need to solve some issues in last video we had, like if we go to the next page, here you can see the placeholder name is not changed. To solve this we can go to the input screen, and and in custom text field we can change this by password, right? And then one more issue we have, if we click over here, if we type something here, see this is obscured. And let's check the by going to the name input screen, and here if we see is password we have passed false, still it is obscured. Let's go to the text field file, and here if we see where is the obscure property, let me find it. Yeah, here it is. And if we here we can check if is password, then we can do like false for always, otherwise is obscure is good. It is giving me the error. Yeah, we need to use widget dot as a prefix, widget dot password. And here it is. If we save this, let me cut all of the steps, and if I type, still it is let me hold restart this. Yeah, sorry, here I have to add a explanation mark, because if it is not password, then we need to show the false every time, right? Let's hold restart, and we can go to the register, and if I type something here, see it is working now. And if I go to the next page, if I type something here, it is still, now it is working. If I go to the next page, it is also working. If I type something here, it is also working. If I type something here, it is also working. Now what we have to do, first we have to validate our form completely, right? So let's validate the form. So let's go in name. I don't think we have to do anything, and if we need in name input screen we will do later. And under the password, so we need to validate our password. So to add the validator, what we can do is here we can create a function. It will be like type of string, and we can create like this function. It will be type of string, and we can type like validator, right? And we can require this, and here we are getting, here if we pass validator as a widget dot validator, then let's see what's the error is. The argument type, yeah, I need to remove this brackets, and it should work. Now what we need to do is first let's add require here, and we can write in the password input screen we can write like this validator, and we can use a callback. And here what we need is, if the one more thing we need to do is, no, we can do like value dot is empty. If it is empty, what we need to just return the messages, please enter enter a password, right? Otherwise, what we can write is else if we can write else if the value dot length is less than 6, then what we can return is we need to remove the const modifier from here. We are getting the error. Yeah, we need to add exclamation mark here, and we no need to add here. Then after this, what we can return is password must be at least 6 character long, right? And let's and we can write this password must be 6 character long. Then what we need, I think, at the end, if anything not happen, then we can write like right, and we need to remove the code here from here. And lastly, what we need is we can wrap this not this we can wrap this column with a form, right? Here we can create like a global key and form key, and we can create instance of global key, right? And we can define the type explicitly as a form state and add the semicolon. We can write like this. We can remove the constant from here, and we can pass this key here. And before moving to the next page, we can check if uh, form key dot current is not context, not current state, and dot validate. If it is a validated, then we can move to the next page, right? This is done. Let's test it out. Before that, we need to do something here as well. We can copy all of this validator function. We can pass here. Let's pass this to everyone. Name input screen. We can pass this as and we can remove this const. And here what we can do is please enter your full name, and we can remove this one. If it's empty, then we can return this, otherwise null. And under the username, we need to validate this properly. We will do later after testing it if it is working or not. Let's do this much and let's save this. And we are getting error somewhere. Here we need to remove the constant screen, and we can just type something here. I think we need to do hold restart. Let's go to the register, and if we just go to the next, if we click something here like if we go to the next, here we are getting the error. If we type something like this, only 3 characters, we are getting this error. So yeah, this is working fine. And now what we need is our password is validated. Now we need to validate our input user screen, right? So for that we need a regular expression. Let me write this. And to validate the user in utils, here we can create a folder utils. Under utils we can create a folder extensions, the dot. Under this we can write username validator dot dart, and here we can create our extension to validate the username. So here what we can do is we can create an extension, right? And we can name this as username validator on string, and here we can write like a bool is a valid username, and here we can write here we can return regular expression. The regular expression is going to be our this one, and if you want to read this you can read this. I already written this, and here we can write has match, and we can pass here is this, and we can add semicolon. So now let's go to the username screen, and here we can write under the validator if it is a non-empty, and here we can do like else if value dot is valid username. If it is a valid username, then we can no here we can add exclamation mark, then we can return please enter a valid username, and we can add a semicolon here, and let's save this much. Let's go to the next screen, and before that we need to create a global form key here. So we can go to the password input screen, we can copy this key from here, and under the we can close this now. Under this we can define this. I think we can change this. Yeah, we need to change this to a stateful consumer, and for that what we can do is stfc stateful consumer, and we can type username, and we can copy all of this data and paste it here, and just cut out this one. Here we don't need to pass this widget ref now, and here we need to define a text controller, and we can initialize it text editing controller, and we are getting an error. Here we need to username controller, and we can write like this. We can remove this one, and here before this we can check, and before that we need to wrap this with a form, right? And here we can pass the key, and before moving to the next page what we need is form key dot current state dot we need to add exclamation mark, then validate, then if it is a valid, then we can go to the next page. We can move this upper, and we can add a comma here, and let's check it out. If we click over here, we need to add at least 6-letter long password. Let's go to the next screen. If we'll type, yeah, this is not working. Yeah, we are going to the next screen as well. Here we can do we can add a check here, else if value dot length is less than 3, Then we can return username must be more than three must be more than three characters, right? And we can add a semicolon here. And if let me save this. And if you go to the previous page, and if we try, yeah, this is working. If I try to add dot and try to do please enter a valid username. If I do like double underscore, then write something, it works, right? Because if I write like this, it also works. If I write like in between this, if I add two dots, it won't work, right? And also if I write like this, if I start with dot, if I start with dot, it won't work. And even if I start with and with dot, it won't work, right? And if I use some special character like at the rate, it also won't work. And in between as well, if I type here, it won't work, right? This is working properly. And if I type like flutter underscore, if I type like this, it's working. Now we need to validate our email. For email also I have a extension, username. We not have created a extension folder. Instead of we created a file, we can create like this, and we can put this into the extensions folder. And first we can remove this one, and we can put this, yeah, this is move, and we can do okay. And now under the extension we need to create another no, we can create in this Excel. And here what we need is we can create extension. We can copy this one, and we name is email validator, right? And is valid. Instead of this we can write is valid email. And for email I have a regular expression. Just use this expression. I will give you the link in description. And let's save this. And under the email input screen we can please enter a email, and as if we can return value dot is valid email, and we can show the message as please provide a valid email. And we can write like this, and let's save this much. And if I click on next, we need to wrap this with form first, and we can wrap this with a form, and we can create a form key. And we can go to the username validator, not validator, username input screen, and here we can copy these two keys, and here we can write like this, and we need to convert this into a stateful widget, STFC, and here it is. And we can write email input screen, and we can copy all of this. Let's cut it and paste it here. We can remove this one now, and here we need to remove this widget ref as a parameter, and we can pass this form key here, and we can write like this, and on pressing the button what we need, we can write like this, if form key dot current state dot validate, then we can, for now we can print form submitted, right? And we can add a semicolon here. Not in outline button, we need to write all of this here. We don't need to go to the next page from here, we need to, and in the custom button we can go over here and we need to define this next as not as a static property. We can require this one like final string label, and after this we can move to this about the constructor, and we can add this here and we can correct this spelling, and here it is. And here under next we can pass like label, right? And we can remove the constant from here, right? And here we can pass everywhere label as this, this one is this, and we can copy this line and go to the every screen and paste it. And in image we need to add submitted, submit, right? And we can save it. It didn't updated, we need to hold it restart. We can click on register, click on next, next. We can enter a password, click on next, next, and we can add a username here, next. And if we submit, enter a valid email, and it got submitted. Why? 1 second, let me check it first. If we tap on submit, form submitted, here we are checking. Here we need to add a exclamation mark, then it will work. And now if we try to submit, it got submitted. If I remove this one, and please enter a valid email, and yeah, this is working properly. And now what we need is we need to pass the data, right? Like when a user click on next, let me go to the first. When a user entered something here, right? When a user go to the next screen, let me go to the next screen. When user goes to the next screen, we should save the name somewhere. But how we are going to do this? Yeah, for this we can use Riverpod, and we are going to use that. So before everything, we need to create a model of user, right? So under the model, we can create a user model dot dart, right? And under the user model, what we are going to have, we can create a class of user model. We can write that like this. First, we have to do, we will have a final string full name, right? Then we will have we can write like this, or we can write like this, anything would you prefer. Then we will have a, let me check, First we will have a UID, right? And then we will have a birthday. We can write like this, and we can write right. Then we will have after that we will have a username, and after we will have a final followers, and followers we will going to have a list of uh, strings, right? List of strings follower, and we also going to have a following. Because why a list of string? Because we need to show who are the following you, and what which whom you are following, right? For that we will store the your followers UID and following UID as well. And what we need is final string profile pic, and we need a final string bio, and after what we need is and what we need, I think let's see the Instagram. uh, from there we will identify what we need more things. Let's go to the profile. If you see over here what we need post, we will create a collection, and yeah, we need a link. We can write like this, right? And what we need is I don't think we need anything more. Let me see. I think for now we can continue with this things. Later on, if we need, we can modify this. And after this, just click Control plus dot and generate data class. This is generated by a extension, uh, which, uh, which is provided by the VS Code. You can type data class, and here I have installed this one. You can install, there are many others. I have installed this one. Author is HS good, as the author is HS good, and we can close this. We are getting the error because here we need to add a parenthesis, sorry, bracket here as well. And one more thing we need to add. Let me close this thing first, delete this thing, this one as well. Final date time, and we can write like this, created or joined, and we can generate data class. And then here you can write this thing, and let's remove this add brackets, and the date time, this is not going to be date time, and we can write like this timestamp, right? And we can convert it to date. And same thing for here as well. We can copy this thing and paste it here, and we can copy this thing and paste it here, and under the to map we can write like this and join that, and same for this as well. Yeah, model is created, and now what we need to do, we can create let's go to the files. Under the controller we need to create, likewise we have created a page controller provider, same we are going to create a data provider, right? Let me state that. Let's create a state provider first because we need to modify the value, right? And we can create a like sign up form data, and we can convert to small thing, and here we need to pass user model, and we can import this thing, and we can pass here user model, and here we can write it nullable, and for now here we can pass null, right? And another name input screen, we need to convert it to stateful consumer, and if and what we need name it as name input screen, and we can copy all of these things here. Let's cut it and paste it here, and remove all of these things, and here add this column with a form, and remove widget ref from here, and from email input screen copy these things, name this as a email, and under the name input screen we can paste all of that, and here we can write name controller, right? And under the form you can pass key or form key, and before moving ahead you can validate our form key dot current state dot validate. If it is, then we can move to the next page, and we can save this. And now one more thing we need to do in text field, you can go open this. Instead of we can write like this, final text editing controller and controller. We are writing this, we are creating this thing to access the data of this field, right? And we can pass here controller as controller, and we need to write widget dot controller, right? And we can close this now, and under the controller we can pass our name controller. In input screen what we need to do is email controller, we can write here controller, and we can pass email controller. We can pass like this. Under the password what we need is we can write controller, and we can pass password controller, and we can rename our controller. Here we can need to create a controller, final text editing controller. We can name this password controller, and we can create an instance of this, and add a semicolon here. and another username input screen we need to do same. We can pass here controller as a username controller, and everything is sorted. And now go to the name input screen. Now what we need is, before moving to the next screen, we can create here, we can copy this and we can create form data, and we can listen to the what is the name of our provider. Let's see, sign up date form data provider. We can write it like this, sign up form data provider, right? And before moving to the next screen, let me start this first. Before moving to the next screen, we can write we can use here, we can use notifier to access the state. We can write form data dot state dot, and here we can write full name, right? And we can initialize this with our name controller dot text dot trim to remove the extra spaces, and we are getting the error. You can write here full name as this, and let's see if it is working or not. Let's add explanation mark. Yeah, it is working. Let's copy this line everywhere and put this everywhere. Image input screen we can write like this. We need to also validate this, but let's do this first. And we need to write like this, form data. We need to first one we need is create a text editing controller. Let's copy this quickly, and we can pass it here. No, here we don't need, we have selected it, right? On submit, what we can do is birth day, right? And we can pass selected date, and we can copy this from here. Image input screen, what we need to do is we can write like this. A note page we copied is let's go to the name input screen. We need to copy this thing. Let's go here, let's paste it here. Let's go to the edge, replace this with this thing, and here we are updating this with this. Let's close this, and the input password input screen we need to do same thing. On tapping, before moving to the next page, we need to save the data. We can do like this. Here we need to write password input screen, password controller, and I think One thing we are missing here. I think we need to do little bit change in provider, because how we are passing the password, right? And I think we need to create a provider for this as well. Might be this is not a optimal solution, but for now we need to do this. We can write password input provider, and we can write this thing, and we can replace this with a string, and we can make it here we can return user model. No, this is right. Here we can return null. We can make it null. Under the password input screen, what we need is here, instead of this provider, we need to use password input provider dot notify. We can use here form state dot. We can directly initialize it. I think we can write replace this thing. Yeah, this is working now. If we get error, then we will come back to this. For now, let's remove this thing. One second. Yeah, this is good. Then we can go to the next screen, which is page input screen. We already done. And another username we need to do same. You can call this form data provider and paste it here. And here do the same thing. We can do like this, like in name input screen we are doing this thing. We can do the same thing here, and we can change this with the username, right? And we can write like this, and we can change this to username, and under the email on tapping, first we need to call the provider. We can paste the same thing here, and let's paste this, and we need to on tapping we need to update with the email controller, right? And let's print our data. Form submitted. After this we can print like we can use form data, and yeah, it is a form controller type, and we can save this. Let's click on register. Let's type something here. Let's go to the next screen. We got an error. uh, Under the name input screen, what we need to do is I think to solve this issue, what we can do is go to the auth controller. Here, remove this null check operator. Here, instead of returning this, return the user model with default values like this. Let me format this with default values, right? Then go to the name input screen. Remove this not here. Remove this explanation mark, and this will work. Let's save this. And if I click on next, it worked, right? And one thing we can do here, call the dispose, and we can dispose the name controller. And then what we need to do is under the password input screen, here we are calling a state. Here we are doing good thing. And if I type something here, here we also need to dispose to release all the resources we are using. We can write dispose like this, and we can dispose the. I am writing this in build method. We don't write this under the build. We need to write this here, right? And we can remove this, and we need to convert this into a stateful widget. We can write like this, and stateful consumer. We can write password input, and copy all of this data from here to the complete build method, and replace the build method with our code. And here we are getting some errors. To resolve that, we have not copied properly. We need to copy this as well, and let me do this and cut out all, and we can replace the build method. And let's remove this. Remove the widget ref and call the dispose, and dispose the password controller, and we can save this much. And now if I click on next, we are getting the error. What the error is, if I type, we are still getting the error. And yeah, we are getting error because we need to do one thing. Password is good, we can write, and here we need to remove this form data, we don't need this. And here instead of this we can write password dot state, and we can change this, and let's try it out. Click on next. We are still getting. Let's go to restart it. Click on register, type something over here, click on next, type something. Yeah, we navigated to the next page. And here if I type something, here it also works. Under the username you are doing things, same thing or not? Yeah, we are doing. Then remove exclamation mark and enter some random username and click on next. And let's check out the email input screen. You can remove this and here also we can remove this thing, and we are passing email here, right? We can pass just random email like and if I press the submit button, it should print the data. It not printed, it printed the state. If I print the state, let's save this, open the little bit, let's see, it is not updating the values, right? It is not updating the value. So what is happening here is what we need, let's try something different. Let's remove this copy with function. Think we can do something like state, and state is the user model type, user model, and from here we can copy this thing, come here. Here we can pass it like this. Here under the email we can pass this thing, and we can remove this, and let's try to print the data now. If it's get updated, yeah, it is updating now. So now this is what we have to do. Here instead of this we can write state dot full name, right? And we can do like this. No, this is not, we need to do form data, dot state dot full name, right? Let's copy this. Here we can pass it like this, UID, and over here we need to pass, this will be empty forever. We can use here username, for link, bio, etc. This is going to be nothing. And for birthday we can also change, I think it will be birthday, right? And we can copy all of these things. I think we can copy all of this and go to the name onto the screen. Here instead of this we can update this with this. Here we can write form data dot this one. No, like we can copy this, paste it over here, and just change this with email, add a colon comma here, and in the full name pass the name controller dot text dot trim, and we are getting the error. Let's import this user model. Yeah, this works, and now what we need is go to the age input screen. Here replace this with this thing, import this, change this with form data dot state dot email, and birthday will be our selected date. Then we need to change the password, not password, we need to update the user input screen. We can paste all of the data and replace this with form data. We can write like this dot state dot email, and we can cut it out, and under the username we can write username controller dot text dot string, and let's import the user model. Let's save this much. Let's hold restart our application. Let's see what are the changes replicated. Let's click on register. Let's type something, enter something. Let's pick a date, something like 2009. You can choose June. Let's go to the next screen, enter username, enter valid email name, and let's click on submit. Yeah, you can see UID is nothing, email full name is available, birthday is 2009, 6th 10th, email is here, username, so we got the data. And if we try to print the where is the email screen, so if we try to print the like we can also print password data for testing purpose. You can copy this and password, and we can listen to the password in provider, and we can print the, we can add a /n for new line, and we can print by adding a dollar sign here, and password dot state. Let's save this, and if I click on submit, we are getting the password, right? And now what we need is first of all we need to validate our username, but we will do after the creating a user, right? And now we need to create the user, sign in our user, right? So for that what we need is let's go to the repository. Here we need to class where we need to create a class in repository. As earlier I said, we are going to keep all the backend related code. So here we need to create a class auth repo, and we can name it like this, right? And here we can create a method like a void sign in with email and password, not sign in, sign up, and we can add this and this thing, and we can require the user model. not use the model. I think we need no, we need nothing here. We just need now what we need is we need to create a instance of Firebase. What we can do is we can like do like this: Firebase dot instance, Firebase firestore, Firebase auth, right? What we can do is Firebase auth dot instance. We have imported the Firebase auth, right? Firebase auth. Let me see if we added the package for auth or not. Yeah, we added the package. So let's create a instance. We can import the Firebase auth. Let me import it first, and we can import this. Let's write again. Yeah, we got this, and we can create instance and dot create user with email and password, right? But we don't want to do this like everywhere. We are creating instance of this everywhere. We don't want that. This might also decrease the performance of application. So instead of this, what we are going to do is, you guessed right, we are going to use the provider for that. So what we are going to do is, we can call the constructor. So what we need is first, we need a Firebase auth, right? We can create it like auth, and we need a Firebase firestore, and we need a Firebase firestore, right? We can write like this. Yeah, here it is. So now we need to create a constructor auth repository. And what we need, because in constructor we cannot directly initialize the private variable, right? So instead of this, what we can do is we can create Firebase auth, right? And here we can create Firebase firestore, and we can create a firestore, and we need to add a comma, and here we can do like this. For auth we can define it like auth, and for firestore we can initialize it with our firestore we have created. So this will work like this, and we can yeah, this much is good. And now we need no need to create instance of this again and again. We can just write like this auth dot, right? And how we are going to call this repository? Again, we are not going to create an instance everywhere. So for calling this repository, we also going to use the provider. So the provider is going to be like provider, and we need a auth repository, right? And we can define the type, and we can return auth repository. For auth, what we need, again we are not going to create instance, right? For this we are going to use provider. So here we have created a provider folder. We can write Firebase provider dot start. Here we can create the provider for this, and first provider will be, we can create provider fire Firebase auth, right? And we can import the Riverpod. we can do this, and we can return arrow function, and we can return firebase auth dot instance. So we have a provider for firebase auth instance, and we can use this fire we can use firestore, and for this we need to pass the firebase firestore, right? We can import this, and I think we don't need anything now. So here what we need is we can use ref, right? Here we have a ref, provider ref, which I earlier talked, is used to talk with the providers, right? And we can use we are getting error, we need to import the Riverpod first, and we can use ref dot read, whatever you want to use there, we can use anything. And we need file first, what we are passing here. Let's add a required, 1 second, let's move this above, and we can write required here and required here. Now what we can do is, let's remove this, and we can return auth repo, and now we can use ref.watch, and we can watch like auth for firebase auth provider, and we can import this. For here we need to ref.watch firebase firestore provider, and we can add a semicolon here. So our provider is also created. Now what we need to do is, one thing we need more to do more. One thing more we have to do is, after this we also need to cache this, right? We need to cache the exceptions, otherwise our application gets crashed. So what the general syntax to catch the exceptions? It is basically like this, right? And we have a cache block, right? And in this we can, since in repository we're not going to use any build context, and here, so because of that, how we are going to catch the exception? So we can do like this, we can throw this exception, right? And this will, and this repository function, where we will call it in controller obviously, and here we will call it, and after that here the exception which is thrown, we have to handle it here as well. That we don't want. We want to make our code readable and maintainable. So to solve this problem, we have a package fp-dart. You can read about it on pub.dev website, and I am importing this, and under the core folder we are going to create a type def, and we can name it .dart. What we are going to do here, we can also do like this. We can use future either, and we can pass whatever we need, like what we need to return here, a failure. uh, if it is a failed, we got the exception, right? Otherwise, if we not got and we not get any exception, then we what we need to pass here, that thing we need to pass here, right? So this is a very long syntax. To solve that, what we need is we will do this thing. We will define our definition. So what how we can do is a type def, and we can create like future either, and we can replace this future either, not future. We can like this, and we can import our fp.dart package. And this what we need to do. Let's see. It is accepting two parameters, which is right and left. Right means success and left means failure. And then what it is need is see the left or right. And first parameter we need to pass failure. Failure, if failure happens, when we need to show the text, right? Whatever you need to want to show, you can show that. For now, we can create a file here, failure.dart, and we can create a class failure. Let me create a class quickly, and what we are going to accept final string message, right? And let's take the input for this, and let's require this. We can add required keyword, and another type def we can pass failure, right? And let me correct this spelling here. Let's copy this, pass it over here. Let's import, and next what we need to do is just pass the generic type. So what I have done is it is a generic type def, because the success of our success, which can be of any type, right? So it is basically this t means it can be of any type, right? And now next type def or will be future world, and it will be like this future, and it will be like the what we need future world. Basically what we need is the here here like if we are creating a function like storing data in database, so we don't need to return anything as a right? So for that we need to return null, and for that we can also create a type def. Instead of creating this thing again, we can write for meaningful readable code, we can do like this. We can do future either, this thing basically we are using it here, and here we can pass void. What we are passing it here, because here we are passing the type, right? Type here will be a void, so this is what. And here what we need, we can change the type future either, because we need to return the user model. We can import our user model, right? And it can be nullable, and we can add obviously async keyword, because we need to sign up our user, and we can here here we can create a weight, right? And we need to pass the email and password. How we are going to do that? So to access the email and password, we can access from the parameters. We can add string email and string password. We can directly call provider here, but that all thing we will do in controller, because here we are going to only do the Firebase calls, right? And here we are creating the user with email and password. And after this, what we can do is we can store in it will return, and it is returning a user credential, right? And what I mean by user credential is, let's create a user dot additional info dot c. I got the access to the profile and profile etc, like username, profile, all I got the access to that. Now we need to save the data. So for saving data, what we need is we can basically after this what we need is let's require the user model as well, because we need that, right? Let's define it as a user model, and after creating this we don't need the email now. We can use from user model dot email, right? After this we need to save our data, and to save our data we can create a separate function like which will return the user model, right? We can do save user data, right? And we can pass the user model here. After this we can do, let's put the try block, and if failure happens we can return. What we need to return here is left means basically the left means is failure, and failure we can return e dot message, e dot to string, and we are getting the error. Here we need to wrap this with, we need to pass the failure, right? We have created a class, we can write and we can pass the message as a dot to string, and after this copy all of this, paste it here. Otherwise I think instead of creating we need to save it here over here only. We can create a collection ref, and we can name it as the user. We can create a getter for it, user, and we can create firestore, not firestore. Under the constants we need to create a Firebase constants, and we can name it like this, and here we can create a user, and we can define a collection name, users, and add a semicolon, and we can create a class instead of directly writing this. Let's create a class, put over here, and here we can write Firebase. We can remove this a here, and the Firebase constants dot user, right? We need to do like this: firestore dot collection, and here it is a collection path user, and we can not access the, we can remove this final from here. We can do simply like this, and we can access it directly, I think. Yeah, actually we need to make it static, so we can access it statically, right? And we can access it now. And after this, what we need is we can use, we are getting the user model here, and after this we need to like let's say user model, do like this, copy with, and we can define profile picture as user dot additional info dot profile string, and we can add a semicolon here, right? This is good. And after this we can display this new user model, and we can like what we can do is, and also we need to update the UID. Yeah, we need to do like this. Here instead of like this we can do like profile. This is our new user model created with updated information. Now what we need is we can store the data in Firebase. So for that we need to await our user. We can make it private. Our user dot doc, right? And doc will be the, we can write new user model dot UID, and then we can just set new user dot to map, and we can save this much, and after this we can return right means success, and we can return our new user model with all data. And now what we need to do with this, we can do this with this. Now let's save, and before everything we need to do one thing: go to the Firebase console, come to the Firebase console, under the authentication tab, under the get started, and the sign in method, enable this email and password. Make sure you enable it, otherwise you will not be able to authenticate your users. And in Firebase database, create a database, and next click next, set your location. I'm going to do this Mumbai, enable it. So after creating, go to the rules and change this with true, and publish it. And now let's test our application. Let's already restart it first to take every changes. No. Currently this will not work because we are not calling this from everywhere, right? Before that, what we need is here we need to create re- we need to create instance of repository class. Like this we have did. We are going to do same here. Let me open the auth controller, and here we can do like final auth repository, and we can import this. Let me define it. We are let me copy this from here and we can paste it here, and we can write like this, and we can make it auth repository. We can import auth repository from by pressing Ctrl plus dot. After this we will also need a widget ref, and ref will be private. And now we can create the constructor, and we can require all of this. Required auth repository, and require let me add the commas, require widget ref and the ref, and then here we can add a colon and then assign the private variables with our variables, and here we can pass this as like auth repository, and ref equals to this, and after this we need to call the repository sign in with email. So for that we can do like this. Here we need to create a function to call from the UIs. We can copy the same function signature. Here we can write we can copy it, and here we can pass it, and it will going to be a type of void, and here we can write this, and we can call the auth repository dot sign up with email and password, and we need to provide the password. So how we are going to do that? Basically we have access to the ref. We are going to read the ref, and we are going to password input provider, and yeah, this is, and we can store this in a variable, and for password we can write like this, and for user model what we need is here we can pass like we can call the ref sign up provider. We can call like this ref dot read and the sign up provider, and we can add the semicolon here, and we can make it async, then add a wait keyword here, and after this let's store the result in the some variable, because here we are returning this, right? If we see here, if it is a success, we are returning. If it is a failure, still we are returning something. So we have to use that here, and we can do like if we do result dot see, we have multiple methods because of fp dot. We can, and we have to use fold. So if it is return fold, L means failure and R means success. You see, R is a user model type and L means failure. So for failure, what we are going to do that what we are going to do, we are going to show a snack bar, and in right, what we are going to do, well, let's add a semicolon here first. And if it is a success, what do we need to do? Obviously, we need to use that all the data we are getting after signing in, we need to use that, right? So for that, what we are going to do, we are going to create a user provider. It's going to be state provider because we need to use this everywhere, and we need to also modify this. We can do like this user provider. The type will be user model, and it can be nullable. And we just need to return this. And after this, what we need to do in success, we need to do ref dot read private ref dot read. After this, we need to read user provider, and after that we need to add modifier note dot notifier to get the access of state. And after we need to call update method, and now what we want to update are the user model. We got this. Let's change this with user, right? And we can change, we can update the state with the user model, and we can do like this. After this, we can create the show snack bar function because we are going to use this everywhere. So under the utils, we can create a file called snackbar.dart, and here we can write the function for snackbar. This is a function for snackbar. We can import the material. So this is a function we are using scaffold messenger, then for hiding current snack bar and show snack bar, right? And function name is show snack bar, and we can close this file now, and here we can pass like this, and let's import this one, and we are need to pass context and text. So we can pass like context, and text will be l dot message, right? And context we need to receive from the parameter. We can receive this like this, and we can import this build context. So, and one more thing we have to do, when user click on sign up, we should show some loading indicator, right? To achieve that, what we are going to do, we are going to extend this with the state notifier, and the type you are going to explicitly define of a bool. Let me cut it from here and paste it here. It's giving me the error. Right after this, what we need is here we need to pass one more property. Here we need to call the super function, and we need to initially we will need to pass false. What is this? We are going to use this as a loading indicator. Initially it will be like false. It is a state of our auth controller basically. So we are going to create like let me create the provider for this controller as we created for repository, because we are not going to create the instances, right? So we can create a notifier, and we can create like this, and we need to create auth repository, auth controller, and after this we can define the type. It requires two types of controller, and second will be bool. Why? Because the first type obviously we're going to be a type of auth controller, this one, and bool is going to be this loading indicator representing, right? And we need to return the auth controller, and here for auth repository we are going to use ref, as we are listening to the providers, Firebase providers, and we can do like ref.watch, right? And we can listen to the auth repository provider. Yeah, this is much. And ref we need to pass we can pass directly this ref. Yeah, it is not accepting this ref. Yeah, we need to change this with the ref. Yeah, now it is working. And we need to also change it, because we need a provider ref, not a widget ref. We are talking with the providers, right? And after this what we can do is here we can write like when function code, we can write state equal to true, means the loading is started, and after this happens we can write like state equals to false, right? And we can do like this. So this is completed. After this what we need is, let's go to the email input screen. Let me open the email input screen here. After this we need to, after this updation, we need to call the sign up function. So let's create a function sign up with the email, right? And we can pass the context. I think we don't need context because it is a stateful widget class, and here we can define the function, and here we can write like this. We can define its type of void. Let's save this. After this we need to call the ref.auth controller, ref.read, right? And we can write after this we need to read the auth controller. So after this we need to call the sign up with Google method. We are not getting any method because it is a state notifier, right? So we need to add a notifier here. Then we can access the sign up method, and we need a context we have passed. And let's see if we can do like this. We can await this. No, we don't need to await. This is already we are waiting in the controller, right? After this what we need is we need to call the final is loading. We can call ref.watch, and we need to call the auth control provider, right? This much is good. Now we need to see the type. This is a bool type, right? Means if it is a true means loading is in progress, and if it is a false means loading is not progress. So what we can do is here in the custom button, here what we can do is instead of this here later on we will modify this. The loading indicator will appear instead of this. Let me go to the final page. Here when we submit, loading indicator will appear instead of submit. But for now we are going to do like this, is loading. Then we are going to show the loader, otherwise this custom button. And loader is going to be like we are going to create a loader class under the common, because it is going to be common for everyone, like loader dot, and we can create class, not class stl, and we can name this loader, and we can import the material, and we can return the center, and the center will be, after center child will be loading. We can write cpi loading circular progress indicator, and we can add a constant here. Let's close this file and import that file here. So this is done. We can add a constant modifier here like this. After this we can hot restart at application, and after signing in successful, we can also create show a snack bar for debugging purpose. Let me copy this, and we can show the sign up successfully, right? And we can add a semicolon here. So let's test our application. Let me type a name, Aditya. Click next. Password will be like 123456. Next. Date of birth will be like we can pick something like 2005, and we can pick date August, like something like 7, and click on next. Username will be like this. Next. And email we can write and let's submit our application. See, loading indicator is appearing here, and sign up successfully printed. Let's see the Firebase console. So in the database we can see our users correction creator, and our data is also saved. See all the data, today's date, and all the other things. 7 September 2005, and the username, UID, profile pic. Initially it will be null, or I don't have any profile. And authentication tab, where user is created. So user sign up successfully completed, and it might have some bugs which we will solve in next video. Like one of bug is here, if picture is null, we need to pass our default picture, right? Like some blank. We will do in next video, and in the next video we will also sign in our user, and we will keep user signed in like state persistent. After submitting, he will navigate to the home page, and until he logged out his account from device, and until he log out the account from their device, till then tak the user will be logged in. He will not see the login screen again and again. He will redirect it to the home screen. So we will do in next video. So I think for this video this is good, and we will meet in next video. Goodbye.